Hello, and welcome to Good Robottal with me, your Battlebots expert Charlie.
And oh wait, I'm back. I haven't been
Hey!
here in a while. And your BattleBots fanatic carry, I think that's what it was.
That works. So, how was your romantic weekend with Sam?
We had a lovely time. We went down went down the river. We had a little kiss here and there. It was lovely. I mean, sorry, that was my dream the other night. Sorry, Extreme Robots. That's what I meant to say. Yes. Um, Yeah, basically, for anyone who's wondering, the reason why I wasn't here last week, no, it's not because Good Robot have split up. Ignore what the papers are saying. It isn't true. Charlie and I are like this.
Yeah, no, we haven't split up. He was just gone away doing some other robot combat things, so I had to take the helm, which he graciously allowed with his permission.
Indeed, I was actually at Extreme Robots, Portsmouth, with Chris Danby from Team Danby and Team Terraphonics, with Apex, the robot that we all remember for going through the glass and terrifying the shit out of everyone. It was incredible. There's some footage that has been uploaded onto Team Danby's Facebook page. I recorded of Apex first time actually getting a win, legitimately killing Expulsion. It was amazing. I'm going to be at more events and been talking to Jono, and yeah, we're looking at maybe doing a bit more of Extreme Robots. So watch this space, I guess. But anyway, let's go on
Hey.
to something a little bit more extreme, and that is, of course, BattleBots episode 2 of season 3 on the Discovery Channel.
Right, so this is a continuation from last week, of course. Still having the same format. The only major difference is that this week there were no rumbles. It was all two bot fights, 1v1s. And I'm guessing, Harry, you've been up to speed on everything. You know how the whole fight card tournament works and everything there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm familiar with the fight card format. I think it's really great. Like this gives robots a chance, to really like have another shot, and we get to see machines that we didn't get to see very much in season 1 and 2. I mean, thinking about robots, just like Rotator off the top of my head. Rotator Witch Doctor. We saw the one fight, and Rotator was gone after that.
So the first opening fight this week was Vanquish versus Ice Wave. And this episode actually opens up with Kenny Florian next to one of the test box while Ice Wave is spinning up. That's actually a really cool way to bring in the episode. It gets the viewers hyped up already for a fight that's going to be happening immediately after.
I think it's one thing I really love about BattleBots on Discovery is that they're really putting their all into this. Watching the adverts, you get these little bits in the middle where you just see like a little bit about Tombstone or a little bit about Yeti, and I really love that. That you never forget that you're watching BattleBots. They're always there to keep reminding you. There's always these little bits that you didn't get to see on ABC. I love that whole beginning bit with Kenny talking about Ice Wave, really bigging it up.
Oh yeah, and getting more into the robots themselves, Ice Wave, if you are familiar with Ice Wave, it's basically the same robot as we saw in the ABC season, just some different paintwork flares here and there. The one robot that's much more unfamiliar is Vanquish. This is built by Jack Tweedy, and we actually covered this robot in our very first episode of Good Robottle. Now, since then, it's undergone a few changes, mainly that it's now has a sort of flipper lifter style design like you saw on robots like Sewer Snake slash Stinger on BattleBots. It's a very cool looking machine.
Absolutely. I think one we've been really excited for on Good Rebuttal with Vanquish. I just remember talking about it all the way back in that podcast and just saying how much we loved it, how we were thinking it was going to get into Robot Wars or something like that. Like, I was so surprised to see it end up in BattleBots. Pleasantly surprised, may I add. I think Tweedy's done a great job with this machine. And to be honest, it just makes the next moment more heartbreaking.
Yeah, so the fight does start off pretty solid for Vanquish. It's able to get underneath Ice Wave, it's able to brunt the hits relatively well. Unfortunately, later on, Tweety would reveal that the flipper mechanism was not working, hence a moment where Vanquish is underneath Ice Wave, but nothing happens. And then the moment happens. Do you guys remember that flex tape meme where it goes, "I sawed this boat in half"? It's basically more of that, except I sawed this bot in half.
Wow. Flex tape. What a. Wow.
Sponsor us.
I love it. Honestly, this was a really cool opening, though. Like, it reminded me a lot of Nightmare Slam Job in season 3. Just that, such a famous fight of Comedy Central BattleBots, and here have another one of those where you have Ice Wave just decimating Vanquish, and Vanquish is a lovely machine. It looks really great, but this really did put over Ice Wave so well. Like, it's really great to see it here in its full power, opening up episode 2 and really showing, just what it's capable of. A real difference to what we saw with Bite Force Blacksmith. It was more even. It lasted the length of the 3 minutes. Instead, here we got something that was over in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, but consolation to Tweety though. Apparently, from what everything was done in post afterwards, the robot actually, other than the welds failing and obviously making the robot split in half, it looks like nothing else was severely damaged. Probably because Ice Wave did stop before going for any other hits. Obviously, it was a very extensive amount of damage, but from what I read and what I've seen, it didn't seem like a fatal amount of damage. Basically, Vanquish will be back for future fights. It's not done from everything that I've seen and read.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to Team Icewave on that one, for the gentleman's agreement. They didn't go back in for the other hit. I mean, just imagine if it was Vanquish versus Tombstone. Do you really think Ray would have been quite so kind?
Yes, because Ray's a nice guy.
Hmm. But is he on TV, though? I mean, the man just laughed at Minotaur.
That is true. Put in photo of Daniel Fritas with Ray right here. So, with all that in mind, let's get into our next fight between Rotator and Petunia. So, Rotator, you mentioned at the top of the episode, coming back, refined, has got some great new accents to it, and also Victor, I think he raided Derek Young's wardrobe.
Honestly, I think he took complete control of the fashion, to be honest. I'll see myself out, don't worry.
Don't forget to tip your waitress. Try the veal. Jesus. So Rotator last season, it was a relatively interesting design, but I'm definitely loving the flash that the team is bringing this season, especially with those like rotating LED sticks that they were showing at the start of the fight. They have lights on both ends of the robot. They got some nice paintwork on it. It's basically really added that flash to it that makes it a lot more memorable.
Well, I heard a lot of stuff about Rotator when I was at Extreme Robots. A lot of people talking about how cool this machine was, how it's so much bigger and better than it was in season 2. Certainly a talking point. We're not quite sure exactly why yet. Honestly, anything that's a modern day 13 Black gets a thumbs up in my book.
Oh yeah, and now we go on from a modern 13 Black to, I guess you could pretty much say, a modern Razor. We have Petunia here. This is built by Misha de Graaf. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. Now, for someone who's familiar with Robot Wars, you may recognize this from the Pulverizer series of robots that won the second series of Dutch Robot Wars. And this is actually a robot that was meant to be on Robot Wars as Pacifier in Series 9, but unfortunately, due to technical issues, they had to pull out. So I'm definitely happy that, much like how I'm pretty sure Vanquish was intended for Robot Wars, we get to see a robot that couldn't make the show now come on and get to show what it's made of.
Definitely, and I think that's a really great thing. I was really sad to hear that Pacifier wasn't going to make it into Series 9, so I was really looking forward to seeing, some Dutch representation. I think, the Pulverizer team are great, and Pacifier sounded really cool, and I was gutted we never really got to see it. So it's great to see that it gets another breath of life here as Petunia, and really did show just how capable they are with this machine. Like, I thought the Petunia did a great job.
This fight, it opened up with the edge to Rotator, both discs going at full force, ended up peeling away some armor on Petunia, but after a couple big hits, it seemed like Rotator's disc ended up stopped working, and thusly allowed Petunia to come in with some advantage here, get some good control in, and also a really cool moment at the end of the fight where it lifts Rotator onto the kill saws, and it basically allows the kill saws to come up and just shred Rotator's tire. That was a very good move on their part.
I think one thing I was saying about this episode was that a lot of the fights had this one moment in them that was really cool. So with Icewave Vanquish, of course, you get the Vanquish getting torn clean in half, quote JR here. And then, in this one, we've got that moment with the kill swords, which is a fantastic bit of driving from Misha de Graaf, and one of my favourite moments I've seen yet on all 3 seasons of the new Battlebots.
Let's talk about 2 robots that are making a return from season 2, Brutus and Red Devil. So I'm going to kick it off with Brutus. This season, I'm kind of split on this one because although it definitely looks like a much sturdier build, it's kind of losing so much charm it had with the guns last season. I can definitely kind of get why, especially with, in America, the whole controversy around the gun debate and everything. Brutus, considering it's gone more lean towards the Roman theme this season, I'd wish that they went a little bit more in with the Roman theme. I do like the little touches it has with that. I mean, it's still a pretty solid looking machine. It still looks like it can definitely take a lot of force. And then Red Devil is actually the same as it was last season. The big difference is the team. It's no longer Jerome Miles because he is over in King of Bots with his brand new machine, Dragon King. It is now the all Black Robotics team led by Ravi Babalal, who had Lycan last season.
Yeah, I think that with Brutus in mind, like I would have liked to see a bit more of an aesthetic of that sort of the sort of Roman aesthetic they were going for. I think that would have been really cool. But at the same time, I do agree that I think this Brutus looks far more sturdy than the one we saw in season two. But it is certainly missing that charm. It's a very basic design of, you've got your box, you've got your spinner, you've got your wedge, which it is effective, certainly. But I think that it is really missing the things that made Brutus stand out. However, yeah, I think that there are concerns regarding the guns. That there is that controversy you've got at the moment with the gun policy. And I think that also there's the concern about weight as well. And I think that a lot of Roboteers are focusing on getting rid of those little tiny things to focus on weight a little bit more. So I am wondering, by getting rid of the guns and by changing the shape and the look of Brutus, what does that do to benefit the machine so we don't get a repeat of what we saw in season two? As for Red Devil itself, I think that it was actually driven fantastically by the All Black team, which is a surprise because it's a new team driving the machine, and we don't really see that very much. But I think that I definitely saw Red Devil showing the same sort of promise that it did in season two, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it, especially that bucket scoop, really effective.
Oh yeah, the bucket scoop was a very nice touch, and actually, surprisingly enough, that was in last season of Battlebots, but it was never utilized. So it's great to see this piece that by all accounts is very, very functional, very, very well crafted, come out and get to be finally utilized. And it was utilized in spectacular fashion here. Brutus unfortunately just had a ton of issues here. The disc didn't seem to be spinning as fast as it needed to. The drive ended up cutting out. There was smoke pouring out of it. It was all just a basically opportunity for Red Devil coming and capitalize it did, coming down hard on Brutus at several points, and Brutus, unfortunately, after a certain point, just ended up completely dying, giving Red Devil a very solid win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also, you know, robots like Rotator and Brutus, they had a few creases which need to be ironed out. And from what I've heard from people, those creases certainly do get ironed out as we go on further into the qualifying round. So hopefully, as we go on later into the qualifiers, we will see these machines like Parallax, like Brutus, and Rotator really start to come into their own.
Yeah, robots like Brutus and Rotator, I think, are very capable designs. They just need a little bit of tweaking, which, from everything that you said, sounds like that does happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing them come back and redeem themselves. And now let's get into a fight of two big heavy hitters, one horizontal, one vertical. Endgame versus Captain Shredderator, America versus New Zealand. So Captain Shredderator coming back this season. Brian Nave, unfortunately, not part of the team. He is over once again in China. You can see this kind of has an effect here. You see several times across the season. But he did not have to switch teams because he has his son Nicholas driving. And Captain Shredderator actually with quite a bit of a different look this season. It's kind of taken more of a megabyte, gigabyte type where it has the sloped sides versus the more straight and down tuna can design. It looks very sleek. I actually quite like this design, probably the most out of the Shredderator series. It's a very sleek looking machine. And Endgame also comes in looking pretty sleek. This is a team from the Fight My Bots tournament. They won the heavyweight division live show over in China with their robot Death Toll. And Endgame is basically that, plus some upgrades due to the extra weight. A very potent vertical disc, very akin to a machine like, Aftershock from Robot Wars.
Yeah, I think these are two machines which, have got a lot of promise with them. Captain Shredderator, obviously just a fantastic looking full body spinner. I really like Captain Shredderator, and I particularly love this look that we've got for season three. Still no Shri mech or no invertible features to it, which is certainly problematic, but nonetheless, it looks great. And meanwhile, Endgame, I love the colors, I love the design of it. It's a cool looking machine. I'm a big fan of a vertical spinning disc. I like this machine a lot. I will say though that I think King of Bots and Battlebots having this crossing of the schedules has really shaken things up a lot. No Jerome Miles, and we haven't seen Captain Shredderator from the original team. We had problems with the Gigabyte and Megabyte teams as well. And of course, Nightmare, no Nightmare around, or Beta or Cobalt. So it has had a real effect on a lot of teams. And I hope that in future we don't see any more clashes with the schedules, because I want to see these teams in King of Bots, but I want to see them in Battlebots as well.
Would you say that there is a clash of bots? You got a bad pun in, I get one. I get one in too. Okay, but
Oh my
no.
god.
Going off your point, I can definitely see that this can definitely shake things up to an extent to where teams that were very well proven last season were not able to compete, unfortunately. But I think on the other side of the coin, this allows teams to come in and really prove themselves. For example, Endgame, who actually dominated this fight. Both bots, unfortunately, like the what happened with Brutus and Rotator, seem to have some issues. Endgame seemed to have a bit of issue driving at the start. So with Captain Shredderator, it seemed to have some issues spinning up right away. It did get up to speed. It allowed for a massive hit of the bots eventually, a massive smash between the two, but the one that ended up worse was Captain Shredderator. It seemed like after that and a couple big hits delivered by Endgame, it just was not running as well. It didn't seem to like brunt the blows. I mean, which I can understand because that was a very potent spinner design from Endgame. They're delivering some massive hits. And unfortunately, the Captain ended up on its back, and it ended up with a commanding victory from the New Zealanders.
Yeah, certainly a good fight nonetheless. I think it was a very enjoyable fight. I think that it was short. It didn't have like the best from both bots. I think there were some issues that need to be sorted out between the two of them, but I do think that this was still a good fight. Had some good destruction, and I thought Endgame looked particularly strong here. The final hit they got on Captain Shredderator just looked brilliant. I love just how brutal it looked, just throwing Captain Shredderator all over the place, and then just I do think going back to your point you're saying about the King of Bots, that because that is there, we have got this new room for talent. We have got these new teams. We've got these new promising robots that are coming to play. Like I'm looking forward to seeing Monsoon. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Petunia, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more from Endgame. So, there is certainly some good stuff to this clashing of the two major shows.
Yeah, but along with this new mix, there is still a very good amount of returning teams, including our main event between two returning teams, Yeti versus Witch Doctor. So, getting into the designs, Yeti, it's relatively the same as last season, at least. Besides, you can definitely tell there's been some changes, there's been some upgrades to make it a much meaner, leaner, much more potent Yeti, but it still has the general look that we've come to know from them from last season. Witch Doctor is kind of similar, but they have taken a few more aesthetic changes. They have a massive green wedge at the front, and they have most prominently this rib cage design on the back, including the Shremek, which looks amazing.
Yeah, I think that these two machines look fantastic here. I mean, Yeti, not too many changes, but certainly improvements nonetheless. And to be honest, it's Greg Gibson. Like, he could put literally like anything in the arena, and I'll be like, that's awesome. As for Witch Doctor, I mean, talk about some changes to the machine. Like, fantastic to see it. They've really thought about what's held them back in the past. We don't see Shaman now, and instead that way it's been put into a Shremek after what we saw with Tombstone and Witch Doctor in that very unfortunate fight in season one. They've really focused on more armor, so we don't have a repeat of Red Devil and Witch Doctor again. So really thinking about previous fights.
They even had a little bit of flair with the Yeti voodoo doll before entering the arena, but unfortunately, it did not go to Witch Doctor. Hang on. By the way, thanks to the Battle Royale Cheese people for the awesome t-shirt. Love it. But yeah. It went to Yeti, 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 Yeti.
Oh my god.
Oh.
It is too late for this. This was an amazing fight. For how short it was, there was a lot to take in. I think that Witch Doctor looked fantastic. I think that, just the aesthetics of the machine, which certainly something, we all remember Witch Doctor for the aesthetics, for the purple, for the green, for that very interesting spinning blade. But here they really showed the sort of power they have. But unfortunately, they had nothing on Yeti, which came out of this looking like an unstoppable force. Like, I really love how they built up Yeti throughout this episode. So they started talking about, how it was a reserve, and now, it's in the main event. And, that's a huge difference to go from being, an alternate to then being a main event status robot that's being bigged up to hell. There was just a lot of, support for Yeti, which I really, really enjoyed. And then watching it here, driving into Witch Doctor, and just all you hear is just a massive boom, and then Witch Doctor just gets thrown backwards. Like, there's no flailing through the air, there's nothing pretty about it. Witch Doctor just gets thrown backwards like a goddamn fussrow dart, and I love it so much. Honestly, Yeti, oh man, I can't wait to see more of Yeti.
Yeah, so but like this fight was just so intense. I mean, props to Witch Doctor. They got some great hits in there. They ended up messing up Yeti's forks, but man, I cannot think of many bots that could go in with Yeti, especially how it is now, and just take the abuse that it was dishing out. I mean, before this fight, I was leaning more towards Witch Doctor, but after this, Yeti, I think, is one of my favorites to win this whole thing because this thing just looks unstoppable. It just kept coming back for hit after hit after hit, and it just wouldn't stop. It was a monster. Witch Doctor, they did their best. Massive props to them. I hope they come back in future fights, and I know they'll have the capability to dominate in a few. But this one here, man, it was just brutal.
It was, and it was fantastic for that. It was such a good main event. We saw Tombstone Minotaur, which was a bit more calculated, still utterly brutal, but there was a lot more to it than this one, where it was pretty much just a complete killing on one part from Yeti. And I love that. Like, Yeti looks so fragile when you look at it. You think, what, the wheels are going to come off, the forks are going to get bent. That thing's not going to survive. But it doesn't give up. Like, the forks were busted, but that didn't stop Yeti. It just came in and in and in over and over and over again with those hits on Witch Doctor, and just left it just for dead. Man, I love Battlebots so much. We need just more of this. Thank you, Discovery. Like, oh my god, this is so good.
I think with that we can wrap this up. Another fantastic episode by Discovery. And at the time recording this, we already have the fight card for episode 3 out. It looks like a fantastic one. We'll be covering it here as well. It looks phenomenal. And like you said, BattleBots back 20 weeks, giving us plenty of robot combat goodness. And we'll be here along for all of it. It is going to be fantastic. This is only episode 2, and it's already looking so good.
Absolutely, and just to finish off from there, King of Bots 2 has just been announced to be coming back. Obviously, nothing to do with the This Is Fighting Robots going on right now. So fear not, we're going back to the original format we had for King of Bots. So we'll be seeing that at some point, and along with that, and along with more news for Battlebots, and God knows what else in the way of robot combat, Robottal Report will be coming back at some point, along with talking with the teams and our secret news series we've been working on ever so much over the last few months. So there's a lot to look forward to on Good Robottal right now. I know we've been away, but we're coming back now to the channel, and we're hopefully going to make it even better than it was before. But until next time, guys, thank you very much for joining us. And honestly, thank you very much, Discovery, for such an amazing episode. But until next time, I've been Harry.
And I've been Charlie.
And you've been watching Robottal Reviews. Thank you very much, and goodbye.